The stars above the council world were bright, but there was no warmth in their light. Every empire had sent their leaders, their fleets, and their guards to witness the first great peace summit in centuries. The great hall was built from crystal and steel, its walls shining with the flags of 100 alien races. Voices rose and fell inside, smooth, polite, but beneath every word was tension. They spoke of peace, but peace had never been honest in this galaxy. Far across the marble floor, the humans entered last. Their steps were steady, their eyes hard, their uniforms dark against the shining alien colors. They were the youngest species in the hall, the outsiders who had grown fast and fierce, too fast for the old empires to control. Whispers followed them as they walked to their place. Some called them savages, others called them a danger. Few called them friends, yet the humans did not bow. They did not smile. They came with faces that revealed nothing, as if carved from stone. And behind them, hidden far from the eyes of the aliens, were fleets that did not rest. In the cold silence of orbit, human warships waited with engines burning low, their weapons charged. They had come to the summit, but they had not come unarmed. The alien leaders welcomed them with smiles that did not reach their eyes. Words of peace spilled like honey. They promised safety, protection, trade, and unity. They promised a galaxy without war, but the price of such peace was heavy. They wanted humanity to lay down its weapons. They wanted the ships dismantled, the armies disbanded, the soldiers scattered into silence. It was a demand dressed as a gift. The humans listened. Their leader, a tall figure with gray at his temples, kept his hands folded. His eyes were sharp, but his voice was calm. He spoke little, only enough to show respect. But silence was a weapon too, and every second it lasted, the aliens shifted uneasily. In the corners of the hall, alien guards stood ready. Their armor hid weapons beneath layers of silver and gold. Their eyes never left the humans. The summit was called peace, but everyone knew what it really was. A test, a trap. The empires wanted to see if humanity would kneel. Whispers spread through the hall. Some said humanity was too young to resist. Others said they would surrender, that they had no choice before so many powerful empires. But the humans had not come with weakness in their hearts. They had come with memories. They remembered the old wars, the betrayals, the treaties signed with lies. They remembered how every promise of peace in history had ended in blood. Outside the great hall, the sky shimmered with colors from the nearby nebula. To the eyes of the crowd, it was beautiful. To the humans, it looked like fire. The fleet above the planet saw it too, and the captains whispered to each other through hidden channels. Every gun was ready, every pilot awake, every commander waiting for one single signal. Back inside, the alien counselor spoke again. Their words became sharper. They warned of danger. They warned that humanity's weapons might one day harm the galaxy itself. They asked again for surrender, and this time their voices carried threat. The hall grew heavy, filled with unspoken violence. The human leader stood. His chair scraped softly against the floor. Every eye turned toward him. His voice was quiet, but it carried across the chamber. He said humanity wanted peace, yes, but peace was not built on chains. Peace was not built on lies. He said humanity had listened, but humanity would not bow. Gasps spread across the chamber. Some laughed, sharp and cruel. Others shook their heads in disbelief. And in the shadows of the hall, alien guards began to move. Their hands rested on hidden weapons, their steps slow, silent, waiting for the order. The humans saw it all. They did not move, but their eyes grew colder. A single breath passed, heavy and long. The tension was like a rope pulled too tight, ready to snap. The summit had begun as peace, but now it was only silence, sharp as a blade. Humanity stood at the edge of betrayal, and every soldier in orbit knew it. Far above the planet, in the darkness of space, human warships adjusted their formation. Their weapons warmed, their engines roared softly like predators waiting to strike. The stars themselves seemed to hold their breath. The trap was closing, but the humans had walked into it with eyes wide open. They had not come for promises. They had not come for lies. They had come prepared. And in that moment, as silence wrapped the hall, the galaxy learned a truth it would never forget. Humanity might listen to peace, but they never forgot war. The summit of lies, the alien council chamber, was built to inspire awe. Its ceiling rose like a cathedral of glass, filled with streams of glowing energy that pulsed across the surface like veins of light. The floor was polished black stone, and each step echoed through the space as if the building itself was listening. Around the center, massive thrones carved from different metals formed a circle, each throne belonging to a great empire. Some were tall and jagged like spears, others were smooth and bright like rivers of silver. It was a hall of power, but it was also a hall of judgment. The humans sat at the edge of this circle, their place marked by a single iron chair. No throne, no symbols, no carvings of glory, just plain iron. The other rulers had chosen it for them, a reminder that humanity was not yet an equal, not yet trusted, not yet part of the ancient order of stars. Still, the humans did not complain. They sat in silence, letting the others speak. The leader of the Shathari Empire, a creature with a serpent's body and a head covered in a crown of bone, rose first. His voice was smooth, almost gentle, but his eyes burned with cold fire. He praised the humans for surviving among the stars, for growing strong in so few centuries, but then he warned them. He spoke of how too much power in the hands of one young race could destroy balance. He said peace could only exist if humanity gave up its weapons. His words sounded like kindness, but his tone carried command. Others followed. A feathered queen from the Hrail dominion rose, her wings glimmering with sparks of light. She spoke of safety, of protecting trade, of keeping children of the galaxy safe from chaos. She smiled often, but her smile was thin. She too demanded that humanity disarm, that their fleets be reduced, that their soldiers be turned into workers and farmers. One by one the leaders stood. Some used words of honey, others used words of iron. But every voice carried the same demand. Surrender your weapons, surrender your ships, surrender your power. The humans sat still. Their leader's hands rested on the table. His eyes moved slowly from one speaker to the next, his face a mask of calm. But inside the human delegation, every soldier felt the same chill. They knew this was not peace. This was a leash being fitted around their necks. When the voices stopped, the chamber grew heavy with silence. All eyes turned toward the humans, waiting for their answer. At last, the human leader rose. He spoke slowly, his words simple, clear. He said that humanity respected peace. He said they valued unity, that they sought safety for all who lived under the stars. His tone was calm, his hands steady. For a moment, it seemed as if he might agree. The aliens leaned forward, certain that victory was close. Then his words changed. He said peace was not built on chains. He said humanity could not disarm while surrounded by those who smiled with lies in their mouths. He said humanity remembered history, and history had never been kind to the weak. The chamber erupted in noise. Some leaders shouted in anger, some hissed and spat, some struck their hands against the arms of their thrones. The feathered queen rose, her wings trembling with fury. The serpent leader coiled tight, his voice a hiss of rage. But the humans did not shout. They stood in silence. They let the storm rage around them. In the shadows of the hall, alien guards shifted. Their armor gleamed as they stepped closer, slow and silent. Their weapons were hidden, but not from human eyes. Every soldier in the human delegation saw the movement. Every soldier marked the sound of metal brushing against metal. Still, the humans did not draw their weapons. Not yet. Above the planet, in the cold silence of space, human fleets kept their vigil. Hidden cloaks shimmered across the hulls of massive warships. Their weapon systems tracked the alien fleets circling the skies. Their captains whispered short commands, waiting for the signal. Engines pulsed softly like hearts beating in the dark. The galaxy had believed humanity would bend. They had believed the promise of peace would blind them. But humanity had come with open eyes, and now the summit was no longer about peace. It was about patience. It was about who would move first. The alien leaders glared at the humans, their voices sharp with threats. They promised consequences. They promised punishment. They promised destruction if humanity refused. They believed numbers were on their side, that centuries of empire gave them strength. But the humans knew something the others had forgotten. Numbers meant nothing if trust was broken. Power meant nothing if fear guided every hand. The leader of humanity spoke once more. His voice was quiet, but it cut through the noise like a blade. He said humanity would not disarm. He said humanity would stand, weapons in hand, ready to defend themselves against any who sought to enslave them. He said peace was a dream worth fighting for, but not one worth dying blind for. The chamber froze. The words hung in the air like sparks from a dying fire. The aliens stared, their eyes wide with disbelief, and in that silence, humanity's defiance became clear. The summit had been called to break humanity. Instead, it had revealed something else. Humanity had not come begging. Humanity had come ready, and now the galaxy knew. Peace was a mask, and beneath it war was waiting. The betrayal begins. The great chamber fell into uneasy silence after the human leader spoke. His words lingered in the air like smoke, sharp and heavy. The alien rulers sat frozen, their eyes narrowing, their faces twisting between disbelief and fury. The promise of peace had been broken. The mask had slipped. Now only the true game remained. It was the Serpent Emperor who moved first. He coiled tighter on his throne, his crown of bone gleaming under the lights. His tongue flickered as he spoke, his voice no longer soft. He called humanity arrogant. He called them dangerous. He declared that their refusal was proof that peace could not survive with them in the galaxy. His words were echoed by others, loud and fierce, striking the chamber like hammers. The feathered queen rose again, her wings stretched wide, their feathers catching the light like blades of crystal. She raised her arm, and with that small motion the guards stepped forward. At first, the movement was subtle. Just a few guards adjusting their stance, a few more stepping closer to the humans. But soon it became clear. Armor clinked softly. Boots echoed on stone. The circle of protection around the human delegation was shrinking. The humans noticed everything. Their leader's expression did not change. The soldiers at his side stayed calm, but their eyes moved fast, marking every step, every hand brushing a hidden weapon, every shadow falling across the floor. The trap had been sprung. One alien guard shifted his cloak, and for the first time the faint edge of a weapon glimmered. It was curved and cruel, forged to cut through armor and flesh alike. Across the chamber, another drew his fingers along the trigger of a concealed plasma rifle. Slowly, silently, the aliens surrounded the humans, believing they had them cornered. But what the aliens did not know was that the humans had expected this moment from the beginning. Far above the planet, in the black sea of stars, the human fleet stirred. Cloaked warships broke their silence. Gun batteries powered up. Red lights blinked alive inside cockpits. Commands passed like whispers through encrypted channels. The humans on the ground were not alone. Every soldier in orbit was ready to rain fire at the first signal. In the chamber, the alien ruler spoke louder. They accused humanity of bringing chaos. They shouted that the humans had chosen war. Their words echoed like thunder, but beneath the thunder was fear. The humans did not bow. They did not break. The human leader finally spoke. His voice was low, almost quiet, but it cut through the noise. He said humanity had come for peace, but not blind peace. He said they had come ready for betrayal because history had taught them to expect it. And now, as the guards closed in, it was clear history was repeating itself. The alien rulers mocked his words. They believed numbers were on their side. The council chamber was filled with hundreds of guards, each armed and trained. Humanity had brought only a small delegation. To the empires, the humans looked outnumbered, cornered, trapped. But humanity's strength was not in numbers alone. It was in resolve. A single human soldier shifted his stance. He moved slowly, but his hand brushed against the hidden weapon beneath his cloak. Another soldier's eyes flicked toward the ceiling, where the faint sound of machinery hummed through the walls. Every human knew the signal could come at any second. Then the first weapon was drawn. It was not human. A guard lunged forward, his curved blade flashing in the light. The hiss of steel rang across the chamber as he swung for the nearest human soldier. And that was the moment the silence shattered. The human soldier moved faster than the guard had expected. In one motion, his weapon was out, sleek and deadly. The blast of energy filled the hall, cutting through the guard's armor and throwing him to the ground. Gasps rose, shouts erupted, and chaos exploded inside the chamber. Alien rulers screamed for order. Guards rushed forward. Weapons were drawn everywhere. The air filled with the glow of plasma rifles and the hiss of energy blades. But the humans did not panic. They stood as one. Their weapons blazed with precise fire, every shot measured, every strike calculated. They had trained for this moment. They had known it would come. Above the planet, the fleets roared awake. Human warships shed their cloaks like shadows falling away. Bright engines lit the dark sky. Weapons locked on alien ships, missiles armed, cannons aimed. The humans in orbit were ready to unleash war. The council chamber became a battlefield. Guards fell one by one, surprised by the speed and resolve of the humans they thought were cornered. Sparks flew as weapons clashed, stone cracked as energy blasts tore across the floor. The sound of battle drowned out every word of peace. The human leader did not move from his place. He stood still, watching as his soldiers fought with discipline, not rage. He had expected this moment, and now it had arrived. The betrayal had begun. But the trap that was meant for humanity was turning into something else. Something the galaxy had never seen before. The humans were not prey. They were predators. And in the heart of the Council world, with every shot fired and every guard that fell, the galaxy was learning a truth it had long forgotten. Humanity did not fear betrayal. They prepared for it. Humanity strikes back. The council chamber was no longer a hall of peace. It had become a furnace of fire and steel. The echoes of speeches and promises were gone, replaced by the roar of weapons and the screams of the dying. The first alien guard lay sprawled across the stone floor, smoke rising from the hole in his chest where the human blast had struck. His fall was the signal, and now chaos had claimed the room. Alien guards charged from every corner, their blades glowing, their rifles spitting plasma fire. Sparks burst against the walls, columns cracked under the force of the shots, and the banners of the empires caught flame one by one. The once proud Hall of Peace turned into a killing ground. Yet in the center of it all, the humans stood calm. They did not scatter. They did not retreat. They moved as one, their weapons cutting through the storm with cold precision. Where the aliens fought with fury, the humans fought with discipline. Every step was measured, every shot was placed with care. One soldier dropped to his knee, his rifle glowing as he fired 3 quick bursts. 3 guards fell before they reached him. Another soldier spun to cover his flank, striking down 2 more before they could close the circle. The humans were outnumbered, but they were never outmatched. Their unity turned their small number into an unbreakable wall. The alien rulers shouted for their guards to press harder, to crush the humans, but fear was already spreading. These were not desperate prey cornered by power. These were predators who had walked into the trap with weapons ready. The arrogance of the empires was cracking, replaced by something they had not felt in centuries: doubt. Above the planet, the skies ignited. Human warships shed their cloaks and revealed themselves in the blackness of space. Hundreds of massive vessels gleamed in the starlight, their hulls bristling with weapons. Alien fleets that had circled like vultures now found themselves face to face with predators of iron and fire. The humans did not wait. They struck. Missiles tore across the void, their trails bright against the endless dark. Railguns thundered, sending shards of metal at speeds that split through enemy shields. Laser fire lanced across the sky, cutting through alien cruisers as if they were made of paper. The first wave of alien ships burned, their engines bursting into fire as they broke apart. In the council chamber, the floor shook with the thunder of war above. Alien rulers felt the tremors in their thrones, their eyes wide as they realized the trap had been turned. Humanity had not come with a small force. Humanity had come with an army. The Serpent Emperor shouted, his voice breaking through the chaos. He demanded the humans surrender before they doomed themselves. But his words carried no power now. Every alien in the chamber could hear the truth in the roar outside. The humans had never been trapped. The galaxy had. The human leader raised his hand, and the soldiers tightened their formation. They did not waste words. They did not waste time. They moved forward step by step, driving the guards back. Every fallen soldier of humanity was replaced by 10 enemies lying in their blood. The feathered queen tried to flee. Her wings flared as she rose into the air, but a blast struck the pillar beside her. Stone rained down, forcing her back. She looked into the eyes of the human soldiers, and for the first time she saw no fear. Only certainty. One by one, the rulers understood the truth. The peace summit had never been a negotiation. It had been a battlefield waiting for its first shot. And humanity had chosen to fire not in panic but in preparation. Above, alien ships tried to form their lines, but the humans pressed harder. Fighters swarmed like blades of fire, weaving through enemy formations and tearing them apart. Frigates struck from the shadows, their guns shredding shields before vanishing back into the dark. And at the center of it all, the great human battleships moved like giants, their cannons unleashing storms of light that burned through the void. The sky itself seemed to cry with war. In the chamber, smoke filled the air, and the floor was slick with the blood of guards. The human leader stood tall, untouched, his soldiers forming a shield around him. He had said humanity would not bow. Now his enemies understood what that meant. The betrayal had begun with alien hands, but the answer belonged to humanity. The humans did not fight to win approval. They did not fight to claim thrones or crowns. They fought because survival demanded it. They fought because history had taught them trust was a blade hidden in a handshake. As another guard fell, silence began to creep back into the chamber. Not because the fighting was done, but because the outcome was clear. The guards who remained hesitated, their weapons trembling in their hands. The alien rulers sat frozen, their words dead in their throats. Outside, the skies burned with fleets locked in battle. Inside, humanity stood unbroken. The trap had closed, but the prey had teeth, and now the galaxy was bleeding. The aftermath of false peace. The fires burned long after the last shot was fired. The once proud council chamber was broken. Shattered glass and scorched stone covered the floor. The banners of 100 empires, once symbols of unity, now lay in ashes, blackened and torn. The smell of smoke and blood hung heavy in the air, thick enough to choke the voices that once spoke of peace. The human delegation stood in the center of it all. Their leader remained upright, calm, his eyes cold and steady. Around him, his soldiers held their ground, weapons lowered but not forgotten. They had survived the storm. More than that, they had turned it back. The alien rulers sat in silence on their thrones, their faces pale with shock. For all their power, for all their threats, they had been beaten within their own hall. The trap they had set had closed on themselves instead. The arrogance of centuries had been torn apart in a single night. Outside, the sky still glowed with the wreckage of fleets. Human warships moved like shadows through the burning remains of alien vessels. Their guns stayed aimed, their engines roared with steady fire, and their presence sent a message across every channel in the galaxy. Humanity had not only survived the trap, they had shattered it. The Serpent Emperor, once proud and loud, now spoke in a voice that trembled. He called for the fighting to end, for the bloodshed to stop, for reason to return. But his words carried no weight. The humans had already ended the battle on their own terms. The feathered queen sat with her wings folded tight, her feathers dark with ash. She stared at the humans with a mix of hatred and fear. Her people had believed humanity would kneel. Instead, they had risen higher than anyone expected. Whispers began to spread among the surviving rulers. Some whispered that humanity was too dangerous, that they must be destroyed at all costs. Others whispered that perhaps humanity was not to be feared but to be respected, maybe even followed. The galaxy had seen many wars, but never had such a young race stood so strong against so many. The human leader finally spoke, his voice carrying through the ruined chamber. He said humanity had come seeking peace, but peace must be built on trust, not lies. He said humanity would never lay down its weapons before those who betrayed their own words. He said the summit was meant to test them, but instead it had revealed the truth. The galaxy was not ready for peace. His words were simple, but they cut deeper than any blade. The alien rulers could not answer. Their armies had failed. Their fleets had burned. Their trap had collapsed. And the humans, the youngest of them all, stood unbroken. In the weeks that followed, the story spread like fire across the stars. From colony worlds to trade hubs, from forgotten moons to shining capitals, everyone heard the same tale. The peace summit was a lie, and humanity came armed for war. To some, humanity became a terror. They were called warmongers, predators, destroyers of hope. To others, humanity became a symbol. They were seen as guardians of freedom, as those who refused to bow, as the one species that could not be tricked by lies. But to all, humanity became a name that could not be ignored. The galaxy had tried to break them. Instead, it had awakened something greater. In hidden halls and dark chambers, alien leaders now spoke with caution. Plans against humanity were drawn with trembling hands. Alliances were weighed with fear. Every empire had learned the same lesson. Humanity might speak of peace, but they carried war in their blood, and they would never be caught unprepared. Back on Earth, the soldiers who had survived the summit were welcomed as heroes, but they did not speak of glory. They spoke of shadows, of betrayal, of a galaxy that smiled with lies. They reminded their people that survival would demand vigilance, that peace would always walk beside war, and in the night skies above Earth, the fleets grew larger. More ships were built, more weapons forged. Humanity did not trust words anymore. They trusted their strength. The council world still bore the scars of that day. Burned halls, broken thrones, shattered pride. The ruins stood as a warning to all who passed. a reminder that peace offered as a trap would only end in blood. The galaxy had wanted humanity to kneel. Instead, humanity had stood tall. The message was clear, written in fire across the stars. Humanity would listen to peace, but never bow to lies. And from that day forward, no one would ever forget.